This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Hello, John Solberg here. You know I'm your host for the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Got to welcome you to 2023 as well. Also, super excited to let you know today's episode is being brought to you by The Butcher Shop, purveyors of highly sought after 100% Australian non-crossbred Wylara 9 Plus briskets, and they are always handpicked just for you. The Butcher Shop has been retailing the finest meats for more than 15 years. Every week, they're shipping out competition quality meats to many of the biggest teams in the competition scene across the nation. Simply put, teams who use the Butcher Shop win, and they win often. You may not be a competitor, but I know you still have an eye for the finer cuts. Great news, the Butcher Shop is shipping some of the finest prime, dry-aged, Australian Wagyu and Japanese Wagyu steaks to people just like you and me who aspire to be the kings and queens of the cul-de-sac. The Butcher Shop always has Berkshire, Compart Duroc, Allegiance Duroc, and Prairie Fresh all-natural pork in stock. And again, it is always handpicked just for you. John, you might be saying, sounds great, but what about something different? Well, rest easy knowing the Butcher Shop can get you an elk steak, a camel roast, maybe some ostrich, maybe some kind of crazy snake. All you got to do is get a hold of them and find out what they got. I'll tell you how to do that in just a second. But before we do that, let's review. The best competition briskets, Butcher Shop's got them. The best pork selection, the Butcher Shop's got it. Giving you better overall options to cook at home, the Butcher Shop's got it. So give the Butcher Shop a call today, 850-458-8782. That's 850-458-8782. You mention the BBQ Central Show, and they're going to give you 10% off your entire order each and every time. You can also reach out to them on Facebook, facebook.com/The Butcher Shop. Shop is spelled S-H-O-P-P-E. The Butcher Shop, home of the 100% Australian non-crossbred Wylara 9 Plus briskets. And today, Greg's going to catch up with legendary pitmaster Travis Clark.
All right, so I have a lot of questions for you, and hopefully you got some time. Maybe I can hold you over. I'm going to ask you, launch the question up front if I could hold you over for a second segment.
Oh, yeah.
So let me back way the F out here real quick for the people that might just be tuning in tonight or just kind of getting into competition barbecue here this year. That's their New Year's resolution. Little quick background about Travis Clark, the Clark Crew Barbecue team, kind of when you got into competition barbecue and how you found out about competition barbecue.
Cool. It was like 3 years ago at the American Royal. That weekend that was going on, I was in Kansas City doing a kidney walk for a good friend of mine who had a kidney transplant in Kansas City. We could smell the barbecue going on. I kind of figured out what was going on, asked around, and the American Royal happened to be going on, wasn't too far away. So I got online, we did a little looking, told my wife, I said, before we head back home, we were living in far western Kansas then. I said, I want to go down and check it out. You know, I was a big barbecue eater, loved it. Never knew anything about competition barbecue other than watching a little bit on TV. You know, you see it on there, but know nothing about it. Well, we had seen Johnny Trigg, of course. You know, one of the first people we walked by is Johnny Trigg. I thought, oh my God, you know, there's Johnny Trigg. We checking it out, walking up and down the aisles, met Rod Gray, talked to him for a little while, fell in love with the Jambo pits there. And I was a big biker. I had cool Harleys and everything. And, my wife, I said, man, I could get into this. You see all these guys having fun and just having a good time. By the time that deal was done, I made up my mind I was going to take Rod's next class, and I was going to buy a Jambo. And I drove home from the Kansas City Royal, or from the American Royal, talking team names, trying to come up with a team name.
So, I mean, obviously, Clark Crew Barbecue Team, one could kind of surmise. Were there any other viable options aside from Clark Crew Barbecue Team? Yeah.
The first team name we picked, my nickname, everybody always called me Big T, so I was going to be Big T.
Oh.
Well, hell, then as I got into that, you know, I didn't know Ryan or nothing. And you started kind of looking into it and getting on there, and I was like, oh, damn, there was already a team name named that. And I started looking, and there's a lot of duplicate team names for people.
Yeah.
And they were putting, of Georgia and of here. And I was like, I ain't doing that. I thought it was kind of chicken shit to do, to steal some dude's name. So we just kept going. A couple friends of mine, we had a couple different options, and that was Clark Crew. Since, we were going to do it with the kids and everything, it's just kind of how it rolled. And now it's kind of fitting, actually.
Travis Clark joining me here on the show, Pitmaster Clark Crew Barbecue Team, the 2015 KCBS Team of the Year. Trev, let's roll back to the end of 2014. The team finishes 7th overall, 5th in chicken, 7th in ribs, 10th in pork, 116th in brisket.
God damn, is that what it was?
Yeah, I mean, I got to research, right? So I got my game on. What changes are you looking to make to, one or any of the categories during the off time to gear up for 2015?
2014, I mean, it came down. I mean, we really had a badass season. I mean, overall, I think we won.
Yeah.
What did we win? 7 contests, reserve 5 or 6 out of 19 or 20 comps. I mean, we did really good. And brisket, to be honest with you, is what kicked my ass. I mean, that 100 and something cost me a few contests and probably a few places in overall. And it just was something. That was the category for me that I knew I needed to work on. And it wasn't that I wasn't cooking a good brisket. I just wasn't consistent. We'd knock one out of the park once in a while. I just wasn't consistent with it. And I knew that was the thing I was going to work on. And I did. We worked hard on it. And, the things I changed was obvious. I was doing something that I tell people in my class now never do, and that's do consistency. And I wasn't doing that. I was cooking a choice brisket one weekend, and then I'd be somewhere and I'd find a great prime brisket, so I'd buy it. And then we'd have a big contest coming up, so I'd buy Snake River Farms. And I just bounced around, and I wasn't hitting great all the time because I was never cooking the same shit. So the hardest part was trying to hit my marks.
If all I ever hear talking to the Pitmasters week after week for the last 7-8 years is consistency. So it would seem almost like smack in the face, like, hey, Travis, why are you buying 3 or 4 different kinds of meat depending on what week it is or where you're at? Why aren't you loading up or at least buying, the same grade or whatever to at least give you some form of consistency? To trade off like that seems like, no shit, you're 116th.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's probably a damn miracle that we were 116th with as much changing as I did. I probably cooked, I don't know, I'd have to ask Canella. I probably only cooked maybe 6 or 7 or 8 Snake Rivers last year. Not maybe 6 or 7. I don't know, not that many, and a couple choice and several primes. I was going through the store and you'd see this big old 2-inch flat, and I'm thinking, good God, it's the brisket. If that's the one, Well, hell, it might not have had great marbling. And you got to think, I've only done 69 contests now. And 39 of them was this year. So I was relatively new, and I wasn't looking at a lot of the things that I should have been looking at, and it was a growing pain. It just, once I figured out, hey, cook the same thing. Well, okay, so that's one thing. Well, then I say, what do I feel is the best thing to cook? And to me, I think a Wagyu with a Snake River is a badass brisket. And so, okay, well, if I'm going to do it every week and we're going to do serious, this is what I'm going to cook all year long. This is what we're going to do. And also, my new sponsor, the Kansas City Barbecue Store, they started providing me with briskets this year. And that helped also. But honestly, I would have done it either way. Once I started hitting them, I try to tell people, cooking a Snake River, it's not going to be the thickest. I'm not going to lie to you. Some of them are, but the thing is that thing has so much fat in it. It's like a damn brisket with training wheels. You have such a more curve. You can overcook it a little, you can undercook it a little, and it's a little more forgiving than what a choice is.
Travis Clark joining me here on the show, Clark Crew Barbecue Team Pitmaster. In regards to mindset, Trav, do you already know going into 2015 you're going to make that run for Team of the Year, or is it something that you ended up kind of building into as the year went on?
Hey, find out what let me start again. Hey, find out what Travis had to say over at the BBQCentralShow.com. There is a link in today's show notes that will take you to this complete episode. Once you get over there on the BBQCentralShow.com, why don't you hit that search feature? Look around. Find something you might be interested in. Give that a listen. Or shoot me a link over to John, John, at the BBQCentralShow.com, and let me do a custom Best Moments just for you. Hey, thanks so much for listening. And until next time on the Best Moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less, I'm your host, John Solberg. I look forward to talking to you again soon.